We got a big football show to get you ready for the weekend. Jared Essler joins us to preview the Spuds and St. Michael, plus Hunter Pinke on a tremendous post-career from UND. Hot Mike starts now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota. Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome to the We're Getting There edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls. Good morning there. KMBN in Rapid City and Inforum.com. Happy Thursday, everybody. October the 9th. Big day for our house. Happy birthday shout out to my wife, Courtney. It's her birthday today. I've gifted her with my voice nearly leaving, so I'm sure she loves that she won't be able to hear me. Welcome to the show, everybody, on this Thursday. We are steamrolling our way towards the weekend and getting ready for a great football next couple days. Actually, it started last night for those that dare to watch Conference USA. What do they call it? CUSA, Weekday CUSA, I believe is what their tagline is. It's not nearly as good as Maction. Our friends at Mo State played last night. They won over Middle Tennessee State. I believe now Mo State is either 3-3 or 4-3, something crazy like that in their first year. They're having actually more success in FBS than they have in FCS. Make it make sense, people, I beg of you out there. But, yeah, we got it started last night. Got a handful of college games. Obviously, we got Eagles and Giants coming up tonight on the NFL slate. And then we dive into a huge football weekend with the high school games tomorrow. We previewed a few of them. We're going to talk about a big one today on the show. Tomorrow we're previewing the Kindred Central matchup, two unbeatens in 2A football. Big one up in Grand Forks. We'll do that on the show tomorrow. Then, of course, we got all the games coming up on Saturday with the Bison at home and UND at home. Two huge games already in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. So we'll get to that coming up later on in the show. Looking forward to that. We're also in the midst of the hockey season now. It begins tonight for the Minnesota Wild against the Blues. They're already beat up almost as much as the Vikings are, and we'll get to that coming up later on in the show as well. Looking forward to that. We'll also chat, we'll update on the WNBA Finals. We'll get to those highlights in just a little bit as Vegas is on the doorstep of a third title in 4 years. Talk about dynasty. With Asia Wilson and that team, we'll show you in a second what they're doing after the Minnesota Lynx beat Vegas by 52 back in July, early August, something crazy like that. We'll go back and look. They have been the best team in the league, and now they're on the doorstep of another title. We'll show you that in just a little bit. But we'll start with the roundup around the majors last night, because if you're even if you're a sports fan, if you're not a huge baseball fan, yesterday was top of the mountain because you had 4 games yesterday with series that could have ended in Detroit, in Chicago, in New York, and in L.A. So all potential clinching situations, and actually only one of them ended yesterday. We'll begin in Chicago. Our guy is off today, so we can only show when the Brewers lose. Facing the Cubs in a 1-1 game, Pete Crow Armstrong delivers. I'm going to say it. Why can't the Mets find players like him? They traded him away for Javi Baez. 2 runs come in to score. Cubs are up 3-1. They'd add to it here with a pitch that was just a bit outside. Charlie Sheen-like, they'll get another run to come in and make it a 4-1 game. But the Brewers do not die. This ball is crushed. It's a 4-2 score, not anymore. Jake Bauers changes that. Now it's 4-3. Game on. Brewers load the bases. Top of the 8th. Bowers is up again, but he strikes out. Big time out there to keep the Cubs in front. In the 9th, Brad Keller in, and he worked a 1-2-3 ninth inning. The Cubs stave off elimination. They win it 4-3 to force a Game 4 coming up today. Meanwhile, in the Bronx last night, Toronto and the Yankees. It's a 2-1 series lead for Toronto. It's a 2-1 score when Nathan Lucas delivers a big-time hit in the top of the 7th to plate 2 runs and put the Blue Jays up 4-1. Same score, bottom of the 7th. Trent Grisham is the tying run at the plate. We saw this happen on Tuesday, but this time the Blue Jays make the play and get out of the inning. That's a really tough catch. Same score now. Austin Wells up at the plate. Bases loaded. He's the tying run, but a little can of corn to left. That keeps it a 5-1 Blue Jays lead. It's 5-2 in the bottom of the 9th. Cody Bellinger is the last hope for the Yankees, but he strikes out, and Toronto is going to the American League Championship Series. They beat the Yankees 5-2 to win the series 3-1. So we have our first team into baseball's Final Four. It is Toronto, the number 1 seed in the American League. First time that the Blue Jays will play for the pennant since 2016. That gets lost because that was the year that the Cubs won it and beat Cleveland in an all-time World Series. But yet, Toronto played in the ALCS back-to-back years, 15 and 16. They lost to the Royals in 15, then they lost to Cleveland in 16. Detroit and Seattle will go the distance. Yesterday, the Tigers rallied to beat the Mariners. So Game 5 of that is tomorrow night. Meanwhile, in the National League, the Phillies staved off elimination with a drubbing of the Dodgers. So you'll have Game 4 of that coming up later today, and then Game 4 with the Cubs and the Brewers at 8 o'clock tonight. That'll be a chilly night in Chicago, but 5 o'clock in L.A., 8 o'clock in Chicago for the games tonight. And if you're not a baseball fan and just tuning in now to appreciate great postseason, either pitching, clutch hitting, which happens, seems like fewer and fewer times in this day and age of baseball because nobody gets a clutch hit anymore. Everyone's trying to hit a 3-run home run. I digress. But it's fabulous theater. Even when the Yankees loaded the bases last night, my heart of hearts, like, they're going to hit a home run. They're going to tie it because it's the Yankees. It's a Yankee Stadium. And it didn't happen. And, of course, I have not texted my dad. I'm going to give him plenty of leeway here. I know he was devastated last year after they lost Game 5 of the World Series. This is 2 years in a row now that they have lost, have been eliminated at home. That doesn't happen to the Yankees, losing at Yankee Stadium. But lost Game 5, of course, of the World Series last year. Now Game 4 of especially to a division team. You lost to the Blue Jays. That's gonna hurt. So I'll rip the Band-Aid off later on him, but we'll give him his leeway here today. So that's the baseball roundup where we stand heading into today's games with a doubleheader going on in L.A. and in Chicago. All right, we teased it earlier. While that was happening, and if you weren't watching Mo State, Middle Tennessee State, and more power to you if you're doing that, was Game 3 of the WNBA Finals last night in Phoenix. Now remember, the series is now best of 7 for the first time. Vegas won the first 2 games. Thriller in Game 1. Aces dominated in Game 2 in Vegas. Series now shifting to Phoenix for Game 3. And if there was anything we learned in the Mercury Lynx series is that Phoenix saves its best for the end of games because they had the great comeback in Game 2 against Minnesota. Game 3, they had a comeback against the Lynx. Game 4, they came back from 20 down and won it. And they were in that same situation last night at home, but this time they're trying to beat Asia Wilson, who is the best player in the world. That conversation is over. The game we thought was over after that Asia Wilson basket because they're up 16 in the third quarter. It's donezo. But here come the Mercury. Kalea Copper, she dominated the Lynx, drives and scores. It's down to 7 after the and 1. Next possession, Copper gets the steal, drives in and the foul. Now it's down to a 4-point game after the and 1. This is, again, what she did to Minnesota. Next possession, Alyssa Thomas, Copper, wide out a 3-ball. You got it. It's a 1-point game. The crowd is going nuts. Under 2 minutes to go. It's a 3-point Vegas lead. Dewana Bonner, who's clutch from 3-point range. She ties the game at 86. 5 seconds to go now. Becky Hammond, South Dakota native, draws up a play with the game tied at 88. Who, of course, you know, is going to get the ball. Wilson drills the turnaround jumper. Vegas has the lead by 2. Phoenix has 0.3 of a second put on. A chance to either tie it or win it. Bonner can't get it to go. And Vegas wins it 90-88. They now have the hammerlock on this series, up 3-0 on Phoenix. Look at the stat line that Asia Wilson had last night. 34-14. Not to be outdone, Jackie Young was great. Jewel Lloyd was really good. Vegas can go for the sweep on Friday, as we mentioned, win a 3rd title in 4 years. They won the championship in 22. They won the championship in 23. And now have a chance to win it again in 25. That, Becky Hammond and Nate Tibbetts going head-to-head here. 2 South Dakota natives. Pretty cool deal for basketball fans and our friends in the South. But this has been who's got the best player. And she's playing the best. And that's what Asia Wilson has done. It's going back to watching her in college and what she did for Dawn Staley at South Carolina. It's just carbon copy. She's just been phenomenal as a pro. And now they got a chance to win the title. Game 4 of that comes up Friday night in Phoenix. We have a packed guest lineup here. Our guest lineup is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Coming up in just a few minutes, you'll hear from Bison redshirt freshman safety Will Steil. Really neat family connection for Will. He's continuing a family legacy. His older brother Jack played for Tyler Oaks in the Bison baseball team. Will is in his 2nd year after contributing as a true freshman last year on special teams. Will's become a maven out there. He's nearly got a couple of punts blocked. He'll join us coming up at 9:20. At 9:35, really looking forward to going forward in this time slot, our conversations with Hunter Pinke, former UND football player, of course, motivational speaker now. He's gone all over the country. He's got a podcast that's blowing up. He's going to join us each and every Thursday. We'll chat UND football and a bunch of other stuff with Hunter. Excited about that. That's coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, our guy Sammy G will be here. Sam Goetzinger will join us after his dancing stint in Norman, Illinois. I don't think that took off, but we can ask him about it. And his beloved Colts still rolling. That's coming up at 10. And at 10:35, St. Michael-Albertville head football coach Jared Essler will join us, Bison Hall of Famer as well, about matching up with his good buddy, former Bison teammate, Kevin Feeney. The Knights are in Moorhead tomorrow night. Still trying to get any intel if Jed Feeney is playing in the game for the Spuds, but a biggie there in 6A football. We'll talk to Jared about that. He can also give us some of the insight about 6A. They've been doing it for a bit as we're on the doorstep of the postseason. Everybody will play on Wednesday night. The Spuds, I believe, go to Edina, and then the playoff bracket is revealed next Saturday, a week from Saturday, and it's a 32-team bracket. We'll talk to Jared about, he can give us the load on how it all works, because I think for a lot of us up here, we're still new to it. It's not a section tournament in what Moorhead plays in now, so we'll dive into that coming up later on in the show. So that's our guest lineup here on a busy Thursday morning. We are just getting started. We'll take our first break. We come back. You'll meet Will Steil of the Bison football team as they get ready for 8th-ranked Southern Illinois. That's coming up on the other side of the break. Hot Mike returns after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. Welcome back, everybody. Reminder, we've got volleyball on tonight here on Extra. Oral Roberts, North Dakota State, 7 o'clock from the BBF. Shout out to Jen Lopez and the Bison volleyball team. They are unbeaten, 3-0 in Summit League play. Oral Roberts is yet to win at 0-4, so the Bison have had a dynamite start. They went on the road last weekend, won at Kansas City, and won at Omaha. In fact, the match with the Roos went 5. They were down 2-1 on the road and won 2 sets there. They're off to a really nice start. We had J-Lo on, sometime last month or maybe late August after the opening tournament of the season. But get out and watch, or watch tonight here on TV. We got plenty of sports going on. You got all the devices. Come on. You can make it work. But they're good. Lauren Jansen, really good player. We're going to have, I believe, 3 volleyball matches coming up here over the next few weeks. This one, a couple weeks with South Dakota, and then when the Jackrabbits come to town in November. So you're going to get plenty of chances to watch them here on television as well. But they're off to a really good start. It's been a while for Bison volleyball. It really has. For them to be back in the mix, be a contender, there's no reason why it can't happen. Jen was part of those teams when they were so good, going to the tournament every year, that they're trying to build back to that, and they're off to a dynamite start. So you can check them out coming up tonight on Extra for that matchup. All right, now, tomorrow also on the show, Nick Hill will join us, Southern Illinois head football coach, as the Salukis get ready for their trip. They'll make the flight up tomorrow from Carbondale to Fargo. They'll have back-to-back games with the North Dakota schools. Next week they host UND. So this is a huge stretch for the Salukis, who we mentioned it yesterday in our Bison Media Zone show. Never won up here. Frankly, this might be their best opportunity to do it, though. I look back at the games. They came up here 2008, and that was a Bison team that had a lot of talent. Scuffled that year, was 6-5. 2010, that was a red letter game. You star that one because Dale Lennon was the coach then. Bison were trying to put some wins together to see if they could make a run. They beat SIU in part of a stretch where they won, I want to say 3 or 4 in a row to end the season before they lost the finale, but got them into the playoffs because they beat Southern Illinois. It's a big win. 2012, they handled them. 2014, they beat them. Then they didn't play them again until Nick Hill was the coach. In 18, I think they scored 65 on SIU, which, let's just say that was probably the low point of where they were with Nick Hill as head coach. Then 2021, the Bison beat them in the playoffs that year with Nick Baker. And then in 23, they came up here, and it was, again, that was senior day. The Bison weren't going to lose that day. Cam Miller was really good, and the Bison hammered them to wrap up the home part of the schedule. But now they're coming up here with a really talented quarterback, with some explosive playmakers. Offensively, I think they're going to be able to do something. It's defensively is where I have my question marks. Can they get the Bison off the field? Nobody has been able to do that yet in 2025. Now, talking about defense, Bison defense has been pretty sharp so far. Special teams has been pretty good. Now, granted, we haven't even get to see the punter last week. Aaron Bickerton was not in action, but special teams-wise, whether it's kickoff return, punt return, or punt block, our next guest has been a guy who's been all over the place in Will Steil. Young man out of Ricori High School down in Cold Spring, Minnesota. I mentioned earlier off the top of his familial connection. His older brother, Jack, was a third baseman for the Bison baseball team for 4 years. He actually had his baseball career ended on a fluke deal. He got hit by the eye. Scary deal that he couldn't finish out his baseball career. Will ended up verbally committing, I want to say, during Jack's senior season. Will got on the field last year, primarily on special teams, ended up playing, I believe, 8 games, and now he's become a special teams maven for Carlton Littlejohn, the special teams coordinator, and the Bison. I visited with Will recently about his opportunity to get on the field and coming to Fargo because his older brother was playing baseball up here.
I would say football was more consideration for Jack. Until his senior year, he really just stuck with baseball, but I wouldn't say baseball was ever my number one. Maybe when I was younger, but football was always my go-to.
So take me back when Jack comes up here. Was Fargo ever considered for you, or is like when you got up here, like if NDSU is a possibility, I'd like to be up there?
Yeah, probably going into my senior year, like knowing my brother was up here and then just meeting with all the coaches, that was probably when NDSU and like just Fargo stuck out to me.
What for your own experience? You know, Jack loved it, but what did you get that, boy, this is a cool place I can see myself going to?
Probably just like knowing about their past and all like the championships and then just all the fans. Just like the fans stuck out to me and then the championship culture as well.
I know Coach Polisic always talks to me about special teams as for special players. Give me your synopsis of this, of coming in last year as a freshman and getting a chance to play and play as much as you did.
Yeah, it was really like a goal of mine to just like be able to make a impact on like wherever, like if it was defense, like special teams. So just like being able to get my nose in the game and just like make an impact last year and this year as well. Describe
that of, you know, going through fall camp last year and find out, hey, you're going to play. We're going to dress you. Was that even ahead of your own timeline?
I mean, it wasn't ahead of my own timeline just because I have really high expectations for myself, but just like being able to dress and then just like getting that card saying you're going to dress was just a really good feeling for me.
When did it hit you like, okay, I'm going to play and I'm going to play a lot? Like, was it beyond like game 4? When did you say like, okay, you're proven to be a valuable addition to the team?
Yeah, it was probably game 4 for sure. Just like knowing I'm gonna be on specials and like having the coaches believe in me felt really good and just gave me confidence as well.
All right. So on kickoff return, how much fun is it? Just I'm running down there like a madman, ready to take somebody's head off. Is that the best way to describe it?
Yeah, I mean kickoff return and then kickoff as well. Just like kickoff, our coaches always say solve problems with violence. So I just kind of took that onto my own and just tried to go hit somebody as hard as I could.
When you hear that, how much fun, I guess as a football player, how much fun is that? Like, I'm just going to run out there with reckless abandon, right?
Yeah, for sure. Just like them being able to like tell me I get to play free is just feels really good for me and just lets me go play just free and just not worry about what happens.
Describe that ability. I mean, it takes something to be a really good special teams player. How much pride do you have taken this now? Like the last game, you had a couple of huge tackles against SEMO.
Yeah, I take really high pride in it just because I know our coaches really make that like a statement in our special teams room. They're always on us, and just like for myself, I just take a good amount of pride just because that's what I'm on. And I'm just gonna do it to the best of my ability.
You feel like you're like this close to getting a block punt because the Citadel game felt like you were a fingertip away.
Yeah, the Citadel I for sure should have had one, but I know next time I get the opportunity, I'm gonna make it.
If I would have told you this when you were leaving Ricori to come up here, you would have played this much. Would you have believed me this soon?
I probably wouldn't have believed you this soon, but just like going in and out of practice, just working my butt off and just giving my all, I know good things happen.
You were in Vermilion last year. Do you need any sort of motivation for this week, knowing who's coming to town?
I think the last year's game is motivation in itself and just like having that feeling, just like that kind of like sick feeling, just we don't lose much here and losing to them just doesn't feel good.
What was that feeling coming off the field last year?
Yeah, my parents were in the stands, and I told them I was speechless. I just couldn't believe we lost in that way for sure.
Describe, for the young guys or maybe the transfers who haven't played Missouri Valley Conference football, what do you tell them about what this is like starting Saturday?
Yeah, Valley Conference is one of the best in the nation for sure, if not the best, and just the violence and physicality it's really like nothing you can really prepare for. You just got to experience it.
From your level of football, your area you're at, is it undervalued in terms of people don't maybe respect? You know, the Twin Cities guys are how good they are, but from Ricori's, I feel like your area up here just maybe doesn't get the same sort of respect that the Twin Cities does.
Yeah, I mean, for sure there's always good players out of the Twin Cities, but I would say like just my area in general, we got a lot of like hardworking guys that love football and just give their all for the game. So I'd say my area could get a little more respect, but I know the Twin Cities is good too.
How meaningful has NDSU been to the Steil family?
Yeah, it means a lot to us. Just letting my brother come here and play and letting me have this opportunity, it means a lot to us. And my family for sure bleeds green and gold now.
Especially how his baseball career ended, just to have the frustration of that, knowing it ended out of his control.
Yeah, I know he wanted to go out on top and just like give his all and finish the right way, but I think he finished the right way in the sense that he helped his teammates out and just like gave them like knowledge of himself and just never like missed practice or anything.
That's our interview with Will Steil. And appreciate him sharing as well what his how his brother's career ended, because, again, it was a freak deal there. But you hear the confidence in the guy. He's a really good high school player that had a bunch of Valley teams, frankly, interested in him. I don't know if it was a slam dunk or a hammer that he was absolutely going to be a Bison, but it ended up working out. Now, he referenced, and I asked him about, he's nearly had a couple punt blocks. The very first game of the year at the Citadel, he nearly had 2 in that game, and again, he's still upset about it. The first one, almost literally, he could take it off the punter's foot, and this is a All-American punter. James Platt was going to hear his name called in the NFL draft when we get to April, so there'd be even a little more, another feather in his cap if he did it. The second one we have the video of here where you can see number 20, he's coming in late here and nearly got it a second. That's why he was so upset. Him and John Kors are both basically uncontested. He actually got a piece of that one in that opening game down in Charleston, which, by the way, feels like it was 8 years ago when we were down there. But he's proven his worth in what he's done out there, and he's gotten close. Those are the kind of guys, honestly, that go out there, don't get a whole lot of attention, don't get any interviews like with me or get any ISOs during the football game, but end up they could be valuable pieces of the team, especially if a guy gets hurt. Steil will be starting for a lot of safe secondaries. He just would. His size, his ability, but right now, you're not getting ahead of Ryan Jones. You're not ahead of Darius Givens. You're not ahead of Jalen Crumby. You're not playing in front of those guys. That's just not going to happen out there. And Taylor Eady, those are their 4 safeties. He's good, but are you going to bench any of those 4? I would not do that. So we'll see. But our thanks to Will for giving us a few minutes there. We'll break. When we come back, Hunter Pinke will join us. New Thursday regular on our show about UND's Dynamite Start, big game coming up. And, of course, his transition from football to motivational speaker. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on a Thursday morning. We're back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning show off and rolling. Not a cloud in the sky up in Grand Forks. Looking beautiful. Actually, we're going to be back to 70 degrees today. Let's go for that. It's going to be a big weekend, not only in Fargo, but Grand Forks as well. UND's got a big-time game as Youngstown State comes calling. The Fighting Hawks finally ended a road losing streak of 700 days last Saturday in their win over Northern Iowa. We're going to chat UND football and a bunch of topics with a new weekly guest. Really pumped about having Hunter Pinke join us each and every Thursday. His appearance is going to be brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. I'm going to be old here for a second because I remember sending out our sports crew on a First Down Friday to a South Border game. Gosh, this is, oh man, you're going to date me, at least a decade ago. Because there's a guy at South Border that was starting to get some attention. I think UND had offered you, gosh, I can't remember. I'm going to have to look it up who you guys played. But take me back then when the first offer came in, when Bubba called you, like, what was that? What do you remember about that?
Well, Dom, I remember that very, very clearly. It was in Foreman, North Dakota.
Okay. Sergeant Central.
Yep, and we won that game. I think it was 18-6 or 18-12. But that was the glory days, man. 9-man football in North Dakota. We had 18 on our team.
Holy cow!
We had just enough to scrimmage against each other, 9v9. So that was good, man. I had already committed to UND at that time. And I committed the summer going into my senior year. I was one of the first kids in the class. And it was nice because I could just go play ball then. I didn't have to worry about where I was going recruiting-wise. So I was committed at that time, and then I got to UND going into that 2016 year. And my first year at UND was the Big Sky Championship year. So I got to hop in at a really good time.
When you go back to the phone ringing, or heck, it was probably early days of Twitter and direct messages, what was that like for you as a 17-year-old kid? Like, all right, people think I'm good enough to play Division I football.
Well, I was going to play college basketball. I didn't even think about playing college football. And I got a call from Eric Schmidt, who was the defensive coordinator at the time, but he's obviously now the head coach. And he said, Hunter, we've seen your film. We'd love for you to come to camp this summer, going into my senior year.
Yeah.
And I remember I came home to my mom and I said, a coach from UND just called. He said, we've seen your film. Where's my film at? I didn't even know I had film. I was that out of it. And it turns out my coach in high school had put together a little highlight film and had posted it on Huddle.
Oh, no
I
kidding.
didn't even know I had that. And so that was pretty cool to have UND calling and being like, wow, I guess this is a real thing. So that's how I got to camp, and then recruiting picked up after that.
So after that, did the phone start ringing even more so once UND was interested?
I think so. I mean, you get interest from one of the two Division I schools, and then a lot of the smaller schools are like, hey, maybe we should also look at this. A lot of the Division II schools in the area in the NSIC go to the Division I schools camps. So
Right.
Mary, Minot, Northern, they'll go to NDSU's and UND's camps, and so they got to see me at camp as well. Anybody that is looking to get recruited to play college football, go to UND or NDSU's camps, and you're going to see a lot of the smaller schools as well, Jamestown and Mary and all those schools. So that was the key for me to go get seen.
Can you tell us about your one career touchdown in college? Can you?
Oh yeah. Oh, I love telling that story, Dom. It just gets better and better with time too. I was a part of UND when we were, tight end sets, running a lot. We didn't throw the ball all too often, and we really didn't throw it to the tight end much. So my one touchdown was pretty sacred. It was out in Davis, California.
Yeah.
And, it was a tight end wheel, a little post wheel concept. They were in cover 2, so the safety took the post. I snuck around the back, and it was a 36-yard touchdown. Keaton Sudsrud put it on me, and I dove for the pylon. And I'll never forget it, Dom. I dove for the pylon, and the pylon hit me in a spot that doesn't feel very good. And so I remember I could barely even talk. Everyone was, hitting my helmet. I could barely even talk.
Oh man, did you keep the ball?
I didn't keep the ball. I didn't even think about keeping the ball. I had to go. I was on the field goal unit, so I had to go, get in my stance.
Had to go line up, right? About those days, and I talk with Tom Miller about this all the time. You guys were all over the place. You were going to Cheney, you're going to Davis, you went to Missoula. I mean, tell me about those road trips, and now looking back at it, of going from South Border and then traveling to all these locations a couple years later.
Yeah, my hometown is Wishick, North Dakota. South Border's our co-op, and we maybe have a couple hundred people at our games. It's typical small town North Dakota. My first game that I played in was at the University of Utah, in front of 55,000 or 60, whatever that holds. And so that was a pretty eye-opening moment for me, because the last game that I played was 9-man football. I think maybe against Shiloh or Kidder County. And then the next game I played was against the University of Utah with Zach Moss and a bunch of guys that are in the NFL now. So that was pretty cool. But at the same time, our coaches did a good job of just keeping the main thing of, man, just go do your job. This is ball.
I appreciate the conversations we're going to have of just how your life has changed since what happened. And I know Kevin Wallivan was out with you at Craig Hospital in Denver. I remember watching those stories fervently as they were airing on our station. On your mindset easily could have gone another way. How did it not do that? How did you prevent that from that my life isn't over, that it's actually just starting?
Yeah. I got told early on after my skiing accident in Colorado that my life was going to go in one of two directions. It was either going to kind of go down a slippery slope of depression, despair, kind of a poor me attitude, or it could be a springboard into kind of a new, different life that you never really had on your radar. And I made that decision pretty early that this is the hand of cards I've been dealt. And am I going to fold, or am I just going to lay them down and play? And there was no discussion for that. It was going to be let's go, let's see what we can make out of this. And so I attacked rehab, kind of with the same mentality that Coach Schwaggart had installed with our team at UND of just day by day. I mean, for UND fans, we've heard that over the past decade, I don't know how many times, but just do my work today and let tomorrow worry about itself. And you're going to see consistent improvement. And that's what's happened. I've gotten better physically, but I've also gotten better mentally. I'm a different person today, about 6 years later, than I was back then, and that's a good thing. And hopefully, Dom, what I've been able to do is my struggle can now hopefully help other people in theirs. And I don't know if there's any more fulfilling thing that you get to do than that.
What did the doctors, Hunter, tell you about long-term recovery, if any, of what you were going to have after your accident?
Yeah, I remember very, very clearly. I was laying in my room on my bed, and we were in the hospital, and the doctor that had performed the surgery came in. He said, "Hunter, we got good news and bad news. Which one you want first?" I said, "Give me the good news," because I wanted him to say, "Hey, relieve the pressure. You're going to get feeling back here in the next few days. You'll be out of here." And he said, "Well, you're still alive." And I was like, "Well, okay, but when am I walking out?" And he said, "Well, you have a 2% chance to get some feeling back in your legs." And that was an eye-opening moment again of like, okay, this is real. This is going to be a fight and a battle. And then after a few moments, after kind of thinking like, wow, this is real, I had this thought from Jim Carrey, and there's that movie moment where he looks at the girl and he kind of smiles and he says, "So you're saying there's a chance?" And 2%, okay, I can handle 2%. At least you're giving me a chance. At least I have something to go chase. So that's kind of been my mentality of like, okay, at least I'm still here and I have a chance.
You've had now the opportunity to speak everywhere. You've talked. I mean, you and I saw you just a few weeks ago. Actually, you were telling me about where you were heading. That you've spoken to sports teams. You've talked to How did this come about of the speaking route? And was this something in your DNA that was always there? Were you always an outgoing guy?
Well, how it started was Stephen Argyle Public School up in Northwest Minnesota. They did a fundraiser for me, and they called it the Pinke Promise fundraiser. And they all wore UND green, and they made a bunch of signs, and they raised some money to help me in my recovery. And as a way to say thank you, they asked me if I'd come and talk to their kids. And so I went up to Stephen and talked with the kids, and that was just like a one-time thing. Well, a couple of months after, I get a call from Dakota Prairie High School. So Petersburg, Mackville, a conglomerate of those little towns.
Yep.
And they say, "Hunter, we saw you speak at Stephen Argyle on Facebook or something, and we're wondering if you would be willing to come speak to our kids because our speaker couldn't get in because of the blizzard." It was kind of right around the holidays. And I said, "Okay, well, when do you want me to speak?" And they said, "Tomorrow." It was like 3 p.m. I said, "Okay, yeah, I'll throw something together. Do you want me to talk to your high school?" And they said, "We want you to talk to our elementary, our middle school, and our." And I was like, "Okay." So I that night I threw some notes down, some things that were on my heart that night, and on the top of the page it said "No bad days." And that keynote speech, it's obviously been modified over the past 5 years. But that keynote speech has been talked to over 350,000 people.
Wow.
And so it's pretty amazing how God opens doors, one thing to the other. But it all started with Stephen Argyle to go say.
I did not know that. That's amazing. Is there one that stood out that you had to like, all right, take a step back? This is pretty neat that they asked me to do this, and I'm here.
Well, Alabama was pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet.
You go down to Tuscaloosa and you walk into that facility and you got four Heisman trophies sitting there and national championships just lining the wall. And they have a whole room just for their rings that they've won. And you go down another hall and it's just their first round draft picks. It's not all their draft picks. It's just their first round draft picks. And it's just like, wow, I've watched these guys my entire life. Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, Quentin Williams, all these guys. And now I'm in the halls that they were in. And getting to talk with that team was really, really special for me. I've got a good relationship with Coach DeBoer, which stemmed from his relationship with Eric Schmidt.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of who knows who, and you get connected with people, and that's been really, really cool.
Speaking of,
hey, Millbank, South Dakota,
right?
He's one of us.
Right. Speaking of your former DC, now he's the head coach, and I want to segue to this week's game. I know how much you follow the boys and see what's going on. Tell me, just watching what Jerry Kaminsky has done, how impressed are you of what UND looks like so far in 2025?
Well, Coach Schmidt, he's man, I had a lot of faith in him. When they made the hire, I didn't know if we were actually going to be able to get him. But you know, because he was down in San Diego, and man, he's living on the beach, and is he going to come back to Grand Forks? And so, man, I've known Coach Schmidt for a long time. I'm not surprised that he made the switch and the transition seamlessly. I think bringing in a new defense was needed. And, you know, he knew the 3-4 really well. He left for 5 years, went and learned something new, and it's been really, really good. It's been working. I think it fits some of the body types that you need in the Missouri Valley to be successful. And I think he was really smart in keeping some of the coaches from the previous staff as well. Coach Frichte on the offensive side has that offense humming right now, one of the best quarterbacks in the FCS. And then Coach Kostic, a Moorhead guy on the special teams. I don't know if anyone does it better in the whole country. So I think he's doing really good, and I'm not surprised by the success so far.
Big one with Youngstown State coming up on Saturday afternoon. Describe that, knowing Youngstown brings a really elusive quarterback. This has got all the makings of what could be a really fun game.
These are the games that you got to win to go make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, like both teams are going to be on that edge of can you make the playoffs? And everybody knows NDSU and STSU are going to be near the top of the conference. But can you go win this big game and play Missouri Valley football? I mean, it's going to be one in the trenches, as most games in the Missouri Valley are. So I'm excited. You know, the Alaris Center has been very, very good to UND over the years. So it's a big deal that they're coming to our place this year.
This is great, bud. I look forward to doing this each and every Thursday. I think our viewers and listeners are going to totally get a ton out of this. Thanks so much for this, and we'll talk next week, okay?
All right.
Thanks,
All right,
bud.
sounds good. Thanks, Don.
There he goes. Hunter Pinke joining us, former UND football player, pride of Wishick, North Dakota. He remembered it. Stace will get a kick out of that when Sargent Central still had its own football team. We went to Foreman to shoot a game with him playing in it. That was 2015. That was the fall of 15, so 10 years ago. And, boy, what an amazing, harrowing story you told there. And we're looking forward to having him on the show each and every Thursday at 9:35 going forward. We'll break. We come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. We got some breaking sports TV news to share, that a couple of big ones, football and basketball related. We'll do that when we wrap up hour one. Back on Hot Mic right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour. Our thanks to Hunter Pinke. That was great stuff. Looking forward to doing that each and every Thursday. We'll dig up the video so next week you can see it when he joins us. All right, couple of sports TV things to get to here before we wrap up our first hour. Big second hour coming. Jared Essler will join us as well, former Bison Hall of Famer, former NDSU football track standout, St. Michael-Albertville head football coach, in about a half hour. Anytime I get email from Tiffany upstairs, Tiff runs all of our programming, that means it's sports related, and sometimes it's big. And this is a biggie, that for the first time, ABC, WDAY, will air the Heisman Trophy ceremony. That'll come December the 13th at 6 p.m. Central Time. Now, for years, ESPN has had the rights to this, and it's been at 7 o'clock on that second Saturday in December. ABC has now decided to air it, as you can see on this tweet from Matt Fortuna, that it will be followed by, let's not say this 3 times fast because we're going to get in trouble, the Bucked Up LA Bowl at 7. Actually, what's interesting to us locally, there will be an FCS quarterfinal game that will air at 2:30 that day. The Bison played in that TV window last year. That was the game with Mercer, you'll remember, that was on ABC. So there'll be another one. That day, I believe you have the Celebration Bowl at 11 a.m., then an FCS quarterfinal, then the Heisman ceremony, and then the LA, let's just go with the LA Bowl to avoid any other entanglements there. So we're starting to get it to come into picture. Now, the following Saturday, December the 20th, we don't have the answers on that yet because that's the college football playoff first round, FCS semifinals that day, and the NFL has 2 games that day, and they're all, I believe, division games. So everybody's starting to put their claims in for where they want their games to be and what they want their big programming. The other big sports TV news, ESPN announced today, since we're on the doorstep of it, of when Inside the NBA is going to air. Remember, this was the topic that wouldn't go away last year, and I love the show, that it left TNT, and now TNT will still produce it. Turner will still produce it, but it'll air on ESPN and ABC. So they put their schedule out this morning, which will start. They'll have shows on in 3 of the first 4 weeks of the regular season. Opening week, twice, October the 29th and November the 12th. Let me get the graphic up here so the boys can bring it up so you can see it. So these are the dates of when it will be on. And it's going to be on in its entirety, because that was the other big drama around this, is when is it going to be on and how long? Because on TNT, they would go for an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes after the game, because does ESPN want to rush off to SportsCenter to get Van Pelt on the air? Well, it looks like they're going to go there full time. They're going to be on again, as I mentioned, 3 of the first 4 weeks, and then return on Christmas Day. That will be fantastic. You can see NBA on Christmas. They'll be on there. And then after that, it's a regular schedule. The rest of the way, they'll be on anytime that ABC has games, which is plentiful in the second half of the season. Inside the NBA will be on. We don't know yet about the playoffs. I would imagine they're going to be on as frequent as possible, but it is now we know. It's just going to look, it's going to be so different to see them back, but looking forward to that. The basketball season, NBA, we're 2 weeks out. We'll break. We come back. Hour 2 coming up. Sam Goetzinger will join us. Much more. Hot Mic, Hour 2, back right after this on WDAY Extra.
This is Hot Mic. Hot Mic. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
I'm Johnny Cool Guys there with the sunglasses on. It was off the dome to the west of when Illinois. I'm looking on it, like my west. Yes, I shouldn't say right and left. Is that Missouri?
That is Missouri.
Yes.
That
it's
is
underneath
Missouri.
Iowa.
Oh,
I'm getting good at this.
He's coming.
So we're going to like the bottom peninsula region.
Peninsula.
Okay, we're going to come back on the ETSU tailgate, and then go to you. How am I going to go from a tailgate to Bunions? Okay, good deal. Let's take a moment and talk about Bunions.
Hey, do you know that you got a shout out from your guy Dave Richmond on Tuesday when we were down there?
I missed it. What did he say?
I was asking him. I got the wrath of him on something. I was asking about maybe another team.
Oh,
he goes, "You want me to give you the Sam Goetzinger answer here that I don't give a bleep?" I'm like, "Hey, let's go. I know the routine."
Did you respond with "Okay, good deal"? And
I wanted to. I wasn't as quick on my feet as you were for that particular one.
That's
so
good. That's
good. But the fact that we can go back to it now, nearly a year later,
MSU's on the schedule.
2 weeks from today.
I might have
2
to.
weeks,
I might
man.
have to pull it out again. I might have to pull it out one more time, see if we get a different reaction.
Saturday night, we were in Normal.
Yes.
Roasting a little bit on the sideline there.
It was warm in the morning.
What did you do all day with your day in Normal, Illinois?
That's a fantastic question. Sat around, twiddled our thumbs for a little while.
We got to take in a great sand volleyball tournament.
We did. That was something. We went to, I believe, Gill's.
Yeah,
Bar,
local establishment there in Normal.
Gill's Bar and Restaurant in Normal or Bloomington, one of the two. I didn't know where we were.
I think we actually were in Bloomington at that point.
We were there for, 3 hours? Just sitting there, drinking waters, and then looking out, and there's this large beach volley.
Man.
It was the Illinois State Championships.
I can't say
going
beach.
On.
I think it was sand. Let's just say sand.
Yeah,
volleyball.
there was no beach to be seen, but it was quite
intense,
quite the spectacle. Yep. And I was peeking over in between watching the Brewers on the TV, and you got some athletes out here.
We found the only place that didn't have football on.
Yeah,
because they were watching the Cubs play.
Well, and I
baseball.
totally forgot Chicago was in Illinois. So I was, what are all these Cubs fans doing around here? Like right when the game started, and everyone's cheering after that first home run of the game. Like, whoa. Wait a minute. There's a lot of Cubs fans
I totally
here.
forgot Chicago was in Illinois. Something you just said.
Kyle, somebody, I don't know if it was Kyle or somebody else said the same thing. It was like, oh yeah, I forgot Chicago was around these parts. So, but it was a good deal. So we watched that. We went to Portillo's and ate our hearts out. Oh my goodness, that was an aggressive eating weekend.
I think Strecker went twice.
Well,
3 times.
Strecker and I went twice. So we went to the Jim Steakhouse.
Dynamite.
Fantastic. And then afterwards, we had the brilliant idea after eating our monster steak. Let's go get one of those cake shakes. And Alex Mulvey, one of our engineers, hyping it up about how great and how rich and how loaded it is. Oh, I was dying in the hotel room before Bison game day. Oh my goodness. It was stomach was turning and rolling. So then we had the bright idea to go back there for lunch, and I was like, you know what?
I didn't go, so I was getting. If I'm in Illinois, I'm getting an Italian beef. That's the end of the discussion.
So Kyle Emanuel and I, if anyone's ever been there, that's the first thing on the menu. And so we go up to the desk there, and he asked, like, what's your go-to item? Is it the Italian beef? And she was like,
yes,
yeah, but I would get a burger. So we got burgers instead. But looking back on it, should have got the Italian. But I got a piece of cake before the game. Oh, man, that was a horrible idea as well. It was good, but I
knew that.
Did
not turn out well for you?
I splurged. I splurged. I ate way too much. So we've been trying to work that off over the last couple of days. But no, it was good. Portillo's was good. And then we went.
Love that place.
We sat in the hotel lobby for another 2 hours.
So did the Bison football team, as it turns out, because they had to check out at noon. They couldn't get a late checkout, so the team, everybody was out at noon, just hanging out in the lobby till they could get over to the stadium.
We were trying to watch Nebraska on our phones, and logistically,
to watch them.
Logistically, a tough weekend, but it was fun. It was good. Illinois State has a great game day feel to it. Good little.
I like
facility.
that play. I love it. And it's too bad we're not going to go back there for at least 4 years, probably with the rotation.
That is too bad, because that is one of the nicer stadiums that we travel to. So that was fun. It was a good trip. They got the win in a good game.
Yeah, it's because Illinois State's off after next year. The Illinois State comes to Fargo next year. Then they're off in 27 and 28. So the earliest is 2029. So that's a long time from now.
So hopefully I got my Portillo's fixed for a while. I think we should be good until 2029.
All right. You ready to slam dunk? First off, the story on your Colts has nothing to do with the game. What happened before the game, around the game, with one Mark Sanchez.
Yeah. Wow. What a deal. I will say I gotta give props to Brady Quinn for filling in on short notice and doing the job that he did. He sounded pretty knowledgeable. I couldn't imagine the scramble to find somebody.
Right. Imagine being a producer and getting a phone call like, hey, your analyst is in jail.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine Stace upstairs taking a phone call to say, either you or I, we're unavailable because we're locked up right now. What?
Wild. But Brady Quinn stepped in and did a pretty solid job. Knew the team, knew both teams, and
Emmanuel, we can see if he got busted, we could see that. Kolpak probably.
Kolpak for sure. But. No, it was when the news first came out, and it was in like that
wild
downtown
story.
Indianapolis area.
Do you know that place where he was?
Because I've been around there. So that's a pretty pretty nice area.
Yep.
You know, it seems relatively safe. And then as more details came out, I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
this is
wild.
quite the deal.
As for the game itself,
solid.
Your team is humming right now. Can you say it? Are they a wagon?
They are a
wagon?
The biggest. The largest wagon that you could find in the NFL. You remember a couple of weeks ago when I said Daniel Jones is in the MVP conversation?
Yes,
I'm going to bring
scoffed.
that back. I'm going to bring Jonathan Taylor into that conversation as well. Jonathan Taylor, and they mentioned on the broadcast, and I agree, he is – I don't want to say he's fully like an unknown hero, but not a lot of people.
I think they forget about him because he's been hurt.
Well, and plus he's in a small market.
Yep.
If he was in a bigger market, he would be on the same level
There's
as
your guy
Saquon
Tyler
Barkley.
Warren scoring touchdown.
Rookie of the year.
That worked out all right.
Rookie of the year, might I add.
Okay.
It was great.
Special teams are humming
you
here.
know, special teams and defenses. We talk so much about the offense, but those two aspects of their game has probably been the best throughout the season. Now, granted, I don't know if we have a kicker moving forward.
Yeah, Spencer Schrader got hurt, right?
Yeah, he got hammered pretty good on a field goal attempt. So we might have got Michael Badgley or something like that.
Wow, he's still around?
Yeah, former Colts great.
I was going to say Chargers, right? Didn't he kick for the Chargers?
Latu is one of the team leaders in interceptions at defensive end. Can you believe
By the way, the
that?
Raiders are horrible.
No,
Raiders
they
are
were good.
bad.
Look at this.
Yeah, I'll give him props, man.
MVP. He's good. Daniel Jones.
Well, here's the question mark now. When does Indianapolis start moving up the food chain and getting better announcers? And like, hey, Nance and Romo are going to have to go to Indianapolis.
It's got to be at some point, you
right?
would think.
It's not this weekend because they're playing the Cardinals this weekend.
They come into this season with like no prime.
We talked about
games.
that before the year.
The Vikings had like 4 throughout the year. Okay, let's get them off and let's get the Colts on here. It is impressive.
I don't know if there's any flexing coming on the next few games.
No.
It's Cardinals, Chargers, maybe.
Yeah.
Titans, no.
Steelers,
and then you go to. Are you going to London? Where are you going?
What game there is an overseas game.
Is that Germany?
I think it's in Berlin.
Just said Germany with the Falcons at the Chiefs. Maybe you flex that one.
Yeah, but the Chiefs are horrible.
It's the Chiefs.
Yeah, but they're not good. I don't like watching the Chiefs.
How about this one? Late December at Jacksonville. That suddenly might be a juicy game.
I need the Jags to lose, and I think that's another reason why I'm upset with the Chiefs, because how could you not pull out with a win on that one and help us out a little bit here? But read off that schedule. What are we going to start 9-1 to open up the year?
You better beat the Cardinals because they only lose at the last second. At the Chargers, that's me tough. How about that? The schedule no favors. You have 2 trips to L.A. in like 4 weeks.
Yeah, right.
Right, because you play the Rams.
And then they got Berlin coming up a couple
home
weeks
for
after,
Atlanta. They're bad. Or no, sorry, that's the game in Germany. At the Steelers. That might be tough.
Yeah.
At the Chiefs. That's not easy.
No, but it could be.
Home for the Texans. Should win that game.
Should.
At Jacksonville. That'll be tough.
That'll be tight.
At Seattle. That's going to be tough. Home for the Niners. Home for the Jags, at the Texans. That's
so I'm looking at
like
4 losses on the year. We're only losing 3 more
So
games.
that would be 13-4.
And remember when I said
Knock
we're
me
going
over
to be
with a feather on that
I said
one.
we were going to be 4-13 to start the year. I feel so bad for trash talking Daniel Jones as much as I did a couple months
My
back.
gosh.
But
Learn from the best. Learn from the hands of Kevin O'Connell, and now he's turned into
he was
Joe Montana.
Such a Vikings legend on that practice squad. Kevin O'Connell spent all of his time with Daniel Jones every waking moment, making him a good quarterback to torch someone else in the league. Yeah, it was.
Oh, goodness gracious.
He's a good player.
He's really good. I mean, that's the guy that the Giants thought they were getting when they drafted him, whatever it was, 8th overall
from
a few years ago.
Duke, and no one knew who he was.
That's the guy.
Now the question is, how quickly are these conversations going to start with, okay, we want to keep you around for a little bit.
Pay the man.
Is this going to be a Darnold situation where, he goes off to somewhere else for some more money?
The Colts haven't had a quarterback since Andrew Luck. You pay this man.
I hope so. I really hope so. We're like the Cleveland Browns in this quarterback situation.
The Browns are
got like 20 in the last 20 years.
How about, before we go to break, the Browns trade Joe Flacco to Cincinnati, and now he's starting against the Packers. He can beat the Packers twice with 2 different teams.
That'd be wild. What is he, 40 now? So in football years, he's about 63?
When we go back in the list of great Jet quarterbacks, Flacco's actually going to be up there over the most recent years. He played for the Jets and was not half bad.
Ravens, Jets, Browns. I'll put him in the Colts conversation.
Was he with the Broncos too?
Was he? Yeah.
Wasn't he in Denver?
I'm trying to.
Kyle, look that up for us during the break.
I
can't
remember when he was the stud in Baltimore for the longest
my
time,
God.
and I thought his career was going to end there. That wasn't the case.
All right, let's break. We come back. Sam's got about how many games you doing here over the next little bit? About
14
10
in the next 2 weeks.
So we'll chat about what you got coming up high school football wise, and we'll talk some Bison football because Sam's working on a pretty cool story for Bison game day. We'll do that. Other side of the break. Hot Mike back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. Did we get an answer on the Joe Flacco teams yet? Welcome back, everybody. Our guy, Sam Goetzinger, joining us. You got a busy next few days. Sam's got volleyball tonight.
Yes,
You're calling Bison Oral Roberts. Tomorrow night, you've got Cheyenne Horace high school football.
Yes.
You'll be patrolling the sidelines Saturday for the
Correct.
Bison football game.
Correct.
And then Sunday, you've got Bison soccer with UND.
Yeah. That's a pretty.
You might need the tea, not me, to get the vocals ready here.
Last 2 days, I have been drinking canned coffee, which I never do to get my energy going. So I'm ready to roll.
What about the vocal cords? You ever worry about those?
Remember that whole conversation
I
we
know,
had last year
I
at
know.
state tournament? These things are always primed and ready to go. It wasn't until the B a couple of years ago when I finally lost my voice. So we'll see. We're getting into the busy stretch though, so I should probably start taking precautions now.
We are officially in crossover season after going to Summer League Basketball Media Day on Tuesday. I'm like, all right, here we go. Basketball is here. So
yeah.
I'll
start. I got the throat coat tee upstairs and good to go. It's good brand.
So tomorrow night, Horace Cheyenne. Hawks already beat West Fargo last week, handled them.
Yep.
Now here's another one. I know this one I think they look forward to more than West Fargo because now they're the two schools proximity-wise. They're right next to one another.
And I would imagine, I don't know if we're still in the year where some of those Horace kids were going to Cheyenne.
Correct.
They probably remember that, so you got that tie into it too.
And they're the reigning champs. Cheyenne won the 3A title, and Horace, I think, is in the conversation.
Technically 2 reigning champs.
Yeah.
Horace bumping up a class, but they have not missed a beat since they've gone up.
Horace has only lost to Kindred, which I had this asked of me, I think, over the weekend, how well would Kindred do in 3A football? I think
really
this
good.
year, I think they'd be A-okay.
They would be
I don't know about
fine.
all the time,
Yeah.
but this year's team and next year's team, they'll be A-okay.
They'll be fine. Kindred is a wagon.
Thank you,
if you will. It's going to be a good game. Cheyenne, we were talking about it in the commercial break. They just lost so much from last year. They're trying to rebound from that, and they had an injury to their quarterback earlier in the year, so they've been starting a sophomore who can actually sling it around decently. So good sign there for Coach Newton and his team. But it's going to be fun. I imagine it's going to be packed.
Yeah, I would imagine so as well. Let me throw this, because I was talking about it on Monday's show, the potential that you could have what we had in the Valley last year, where you have 3 teams tie for the EDC title with Horace, Davies, and Shanley.
Yes.
Because Davies just beat Shanley.
Yep.
Shanley was out at starting quarterback. Horace plays Davies next week.
Yep.
And the following week, then Horace plays Shanley to wrap up the regular season, where you could have it like the Bison beat the Jacks beat USD, and then USD beat NDSU. We could see that here in the EDC.
Absolutely. And I think, those 3 teams could go on and win the entire thing.
I think so, too.
There's so much parity, especially on the eastern side. I haven't looked too much at the west yet. I know Legacy, I think, is still rolling along.
Century and Bismarck are there. We could have the same thing happen in the WDA.
Exactly, but there's so much parity in the big schools class, if you will, in North Dakota. Some really good football going on. Davies is as powerful as ever. I haven't seen Shanley yet this year, but with Coach Madden, they're still moving the ball pretty well. Jax is having a good year, and Horace, they still got a lot of guys from last year, so they got the title experience and everything. And fun team to watch. And who knows? The battle is who's going to be in that 4 spot, moving forward in the EDC.
Well, as you know, with getting that 1 spot, you are guaranteed 2 home games. That's monster deal.
That's huge.
If you're right, let's say if Horace's ends up, all right, here you go. They have the path laid for them to get to the Fargo Dome, that they get to play 2 games at home. I would say Davies just won at Shanley,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they would love to have that legacy game over again out in Bismarck to get another crack at them.
Absolutely, wouldn't doubt it at all. That legacy game in the beginning of the year, I should say, against Davies, you could tell Davies was up on a pretty big, and then Legacy kind of figured it out a little bit. So there was a bitter taste to that. But again, that non-conference point of the schedule, you can't put too much stock into it because as we go into the conference play later in the year, which we are in now, those are the big games.
2A, tomorrow, Kindred and Central play each other, both unbeaten. We've talked plenty on Kindred. I don't know if we're giving enough love to Central.
I don't think so.
They're unbeaten as well. They're 6-0.
Even over the last couple of years.
Central made it the title game a couple years ago.
There's something going on. I know Red River's having a little bit of a down year, but football's really growing up there in Grand Forks. Some good talent.
Devils Lake is good this year.
I got parity over there as well. Central Cass is pretty solid as well, so we'll see. But Kindred is your front runner as of right now. I think that's pretty hands down.
I'll be interested to see how this plays out tomorrow night up there. Kindred's they've already made one trip to Grand Forks, now making another. They still have Central Cass to go at the end of the regular season.
That'll be a fun game.
So,
that'll be fun.
Which I'm a total fan of that. Play your rival the last game of the season should happen in football all the time.
Absolutely. They did a deal. What was it last year, 2 years ago, where the cross-country team ran the game ball from Kindred to Castleton?
You were at that game,
Yeah, it was
right?
pretty neat.
Yeah.
That was a pretty cool deal.
So those are a couple of the headline games. We're going to talk more about Moorhead and St. Michael-Albertville coming up in our next segment with Jared Essler joining us there because, again, to try to explain to people how the 6A football tournament works, I know you've covered it in past job experience. It's not a section tournament. It's a true statewide bracket.
Think of it as like a miniature Minnesota high school football NCAA basketball tournament type deal. Everybody's getting in. There's upset. You can get your 16 versus 1 upset. It's a pretty cool deal what they do over there. I like that. I am a fan of section play. I think section is fun. Maybe because I grew up with that.
Yeah, I know. I don't like everybody getting in. I do.
Don't. I do. I'm a fan of Cinderellas.
But those Tuesday games are always 65-0. There are never any competitive games on those Tuesdays.
But you got to try it because you never know.
No, you don't. You just
never know.
Top 4 make it. That's it.
You never know. I don't know. I think I just got so used to it because New Prague was always in that 65-0 game. So at least we got a shot to try
because
to do
in an era where safety is so paramount, right, that we all hear about it, then they make kids play 3 games in 10 days. Fair. Like, what are we doing?
That is true.
You can't have it both ways.
That is true.
Because you play Tuesday, then you play Saturday, and then you play the following Friday. Like, what?
Yeah.
No.
What do they do in Wisconsin? Do you know off the top of your
No,
head?
but Nell's not here today, so I'm sure he's probably screaming at his television now. He knows the answer to that.
Probably.
It's as aggressive as that. I'm not a big fan of that. Before we roll, Saturday, Bison Game Day. First off, kudos. The story in Kelton McCaslin. If you missed that, check it out right now that Sam did on Inforum.com. I don't know if we didn't have a chance to talk about it because you filled in for me last Thursday of what he went through as a young man to actually play football is remarkable. It's a medical marvel, actually.
Well, and I was talking with his parents, Brad and Aaron, about it, and they told me when I brought it up to them, like, hey, we're doing a story on Kelton. He told us about this brain surgery he had when he was younger, and they were kind of baffled because they were surprised that he actually told the truth about what
that he
happened.
Brought it up.
He's such a nonchalant, fun-loving guy, fun to be around. He's got a scar that's covered up by his hair, but he tells people it is shark attack or eagle attack. And so they thought, they were surprised that Kelton didn't go down that road as to what happened. But he was very open about it, and just how he went about it. Not even now, but when he was younger, is a really, really neat deal. Always fun-loving, had a positive attitude about it, which I feel is a good way to go about these things to keep your morale up. And then he goes and has his best game of the year.
Forces a fumble,
which was awesome. That was
those
cool
are the
see.
Stories that I always love. Like, okay, we're gonna focus on a guy, and then he goes and has an unbelievable game. Like, I look like a smart guy.
Yeah,
exactly. Good producing.
I planned that. I knew it was going to happen. I had a feeling you'd have a forced fumble, but no, it was good. Aaron and Brad were very powerful in that message as well, and it was
good stuff.
It was a cool deal to share.
So this week you've turned your attention to the specialist.
Yes,
you're talking with Aaron Bickerton.
This one's a little
more
bit
lighthearted,
more lighthearted, fun-loving, if you will. Aaron Bickerton, the punter, who we've
seen a handful
Not
of
much.
times.
We didn't see him on Saturday.
But he's from England, and then big soccer guy, or real football as he calls it, growing up, and then was watching YouTube and found a love for kicking footballs, and then decided to go all in on that because he wanted to get a college education. Comes over to the States, gets an opportunity at Howard, and he's only grown on from there. What I love about this story is he talks about the differences between Europe and the United States and how the team views Europe, which is apparently very off because they've never been there.
Yeah.
Their perception of what England is like is
Wait a
completely
minute, hold
wrong.
on. Are we talking like geography-wise? Like,
No.
are they as lost as you on that?
What Aaron says, and I'll probably mention in the story, is that he said his teammates think London is the entire country, and that's it. And that's something I would do. That's something I would do. And he's got such a great accent as well that you're going to hear. And
I would say that anytime that British people speak, there's just an enchanting way about it. You love golf.
Yes.
When you hear them talk about golf, it's just a pristine way of the English language. It just is.
I will admit I got lost a couple times in the interview just because I was sucked in by the accent. It was good. He talks about what it's like to live around here and speak different from everybody else. But really cool guy to talk to. Fun
and
story.
how he learned how to punt is remarkable.
Yeah, he just watching YouTube videos. And then all of a sudden he decided to go on and he went through the proper ways of camp, and he thought the football was going to be the size of a rugby ball, which obviously is much larger than a football. So it was a slow start, but now he's got a pretty good leg. So we will.
We haven't seen him much,
no,
but I don't think we're going to see him a whole lot this weekend either.
And
frankly,
he's okay with that.
Yeah,
he's okay with that.
Well, he had the ultimate comeback. He was telling you and McFeely on Tuesday because the Illinois State student section was giving him a hard time. Finish the story on how this went down.
He was just keeping himself engaged and talking smack with the student sections.
And he said, the only way I play is if I have to punt.
Fair.
And he didn't get in the game, so that is the ultimate. There's no more comeback from
you
that.
Can shut it down after that. I like how in the end he kind of, I'm helping Eli as well with the holding on the sideline, which was great. No, he was a good guy to talk to. So we'll have that story on Saturday.
Cool. So looking forward to seeing that coming up Saturday morning at 10 a.m. You're a busy man. Thanks so much as always for doing this. Have a great call tonight and this weekend, and we'll see you on Saturday. All right.
Absolutely.
Our guy Sam Goetzinger joins us each and every Thursday at 10 o'clock. He'll be on the call tonight of the Bison and Oral Roberts volleyball match at the BBF. We'll break. When we come back, Jared Essler will join us. St. Michael-Albertville gets ready for a showdown with the Spuds tomorrow night here in Moorhead. That's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning show rolls on. Pretty pumped about our next guest to chat all things football with. His team that he's coming up with, St. Michael-Albertville, will be taking on Moorhead tomorrow. It's the Spuds' regular season home finale as they will be taking on a St. Michael-Albertville team that's always got talent. Bison Hall of Famer Jared Essler joins us here this morning to get us ready for the Knights and the Spuds. First, can you, out of your days in Minot, a guy that frequents our show, one Andy Delabar, about his athletic greatness at Bishop Ryan, can you describe that for us, please?
Yeah, Andy's a great friend of mine. And Andy was a sophomore tight end when I was a senior quarterback. And, when we play high school football in North Dakota in the 90s, that means you're running the old split back veer that the Bison were making hay with. So that was kind of how we grew up and we cut our teeth. And, now we're both high school football coaches, and it's fun to see him and catch up with him and the success he's having over in Lemoore.
And now his daughter's going to be a Bison. I don't know if you saw that this week. She's going to go participate in track, which obviously you did. Take me back. I've never asked you this on your recruiting pitch. Did NDSU say you could do both track and football? Because you can't do that anymore now.
Yeah, that was a big part in the D2 days. There was a handful of us that did that. Marcus Johnson, Alan Burrell. We had 3 of our 4 legs on the 4x1 were football guys. So those were certainly fun times, and that was really probably the biggest reason why I picked Fargo was, I had the opportunity to obviously play football, but also, run at the Drake Relays, which is really,
awesome.
really a cool event. And, I'm so grateful that, the coaches were able to make that work for me. And it was a lot of fun.
That track team, you mentioned those guys. Alan just went in the Hall of Fame. Marcus is in the Hall of Fame. You're in the Hall of Fame. Did you guys ever lose?
We had a good run. It was fun. And, one of my real mentors was Coach Don Larson, and still keep in touch with Lars. And it's a lot of ways the way that I coach today is kind of a reflection of Coach Lars. So he's been great.
That experience of having that kind of success, how much did that help in football, and vice versa, that you had success on the football field, you were a captain of the football team? How much did that bleed over to each other, Jared?
Yeah, the sports are kind of polar opposites. You get the individual aspects of track and field while contributing to a team. But, in a lot of ways, football is this ultimate team game, that your role is really defined by how you contribute and fit into the puzzle with the other 10 guys. And they were really good compliments for me. And sometimes football coaches can kind of be uptight creatures, and that's where it was really fun to be around, the process of kind of daily improvement with Coach Lars. And, just really a simple thing. I mean, Lars used to say, run hard and turn left and jump if you have to, that was track and field. And that's certainly not, the simplicity of football. There's so many more variables that go into it than that. And so I think that was a good kind of experience for me in those formative years of my life that kind of have shaped me into being the type of high school teacher and coach that I am now. Take
me back, Jared, what you remember being in school, hearing North Dakota State is going to make the move to Division I in the midst of your collegiate career.
Yeah. What's crazy, what's kind of lost in the focus of all the success the Bison have had is we were 2-8 in 2002. We bottomed out and we had a rash of injuries, and we were a really bad Division II football team. And the move to Division I was announced in 2003, and we hadn't played a game yet.
Yeah.
And and then very quickly with Coach Bowl, we went out to Montana and we got a big win, and the people started to jump on the bandwagon. We went 8-3 in that first year, and we were ranked in the top 25 of that first year of the move up to Division I. Scheduling was really a nightmare. We played a NAIA team from Montana, and we found a couple of other D2 games, and we kind of pieced it together with, some other teams that were transitioning up to Division I, and played in the Great West Conference, the now defunct conference. So what's been so cool is to see the success, from 200 miles away. It's been a lot of fun to be a Bison alum in the Twin Cities with all the success they're having. And it's just been night and day from when, I was there in the early 2000s.
Take me back. Kolpak has written about it. He's told me about that 2002 season where you could literally hear people yelling in the stands. How bizarre was that inside the Fargo Dome?
Yeah. It was strange times, and then at the same time, it flipped relatively quick. Yeah. Fargo's a football town, and when you have a winner, they come out in droves, and there was just kind of a blip in our radar there. But because when I got there in 2000, I redshirted, and we made it to the D2 national semifinals, and we lost to Delta State. So we were, had some success early, and then kind of in the middle of my career, we hit some tough times, and then we had some success late with the coaching change and Coach Bull coming in. So, but yeah, there was, the highs and lows that go along with athletics. I kind of got to experience both of those things in my time.
When you heard that they were going to institute a new trophy for the South Dakota State game, in your wildest dreams, did you ever imagine what it's become now? It's nationally televised again this year with the Bison and the Jacks.
Yeah, the big game for us was the nickel trophy.
Yeah.
With the Bison, that was the big one, and we certainly got up for South Dakota State, but that rivalry's really taken off, and it's probably a credit to the success that they've had in Brookings. They've done a really remarkable job with recruiting and facility upgrades and the development of talent, and that's been a fun rivalry to see continue.
All right, so this week's game is always special, considering I know when you're facing Moran and a guy like Kevin Feeney, a former Bison as well. What is this like for you guys, both having played in Fargo and now you've coached against each other for so long?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I know I'm going to have a lot of relatives in the Fargo-Moorhead area that'll come to the game, and a lot of connections, and it'll be fun to kind of catch up with them. And it kind of feels a little bit like going home. I love your show, and I love the Bison updates, and it's kind of always fun to hear, you and Kolpak and McFeely, and it seems like old times, and so I'm always kind of staying in tune with that, region of the state, and it'll be fun to kind of go back and see some old friends and see if we can put 4 good quarters together against the Spuds.
Tell me about your team this year. I know you got a bunch of young guys playing. How has this season played out so far?
Yeah, we're starting 16 underclassmen. We're starting a freshman at nose guard. He's really talented, but he's going to be, for a school like us with 2,000 plus students, that's pretty rare.
Yep.
We've only got 14 seniors. In a typical year, we have 35 to 40 seniors. This has just been a small group trending all the way up, and so we're young and we've been inexperienced. We're 1-5. Our one win was against Wayzata. We just played Maple Grove last week, and the Crimson are kind of
they're all right. They're pretty
6A.
good.
Yeah, and we had a fourth quarter lead against the Crimson, and we just couldn't tackle the running back in the fourth quarter, and that was the difference. But I guess what I'm saying is the progress has been measurable. Like we've seen improvements from our kids who are, now they've got 4 or 5 starts under their belts, and they're starting to get better. And sometimes there's a narrative that when you struggle early, that's the same type of team you're going to be late. And especially with high school football, you can just see them improve from one practice to the next. And the kids have kind of bought into that process of improvement, and they really are getting better. And I hope we can take another big step forward tomorrow.
Now, you have been in 6A for a while. This is Moorhead's first year. What are people maybe finding out now, Jared, that we didn't know going in about what the level of football is like in 6A, especially in the Twin Cities?
Yeah, I would say really the depth of the rosters allows you to practice differently. And, there's good coaches in every level, but when you give good coaches depth, now you have 11 defensive starters that for 2 hours every day are practicing just defense. And 11 guys on offense who are just practicing offense. And then your playbooks get bigger. Your opponent scout can be more specific. And so that was the big part. We made the jump 10 years ago. That was the big jump for us, is like, hey, we can't just run the same plays out of the same formations anymore, because teams will get you scouted and they'll have a way to stop it. And so, with that regard, it kind of stresses you with, how much can your kids handle, how many different coverages, how many different blitz packages, and then, offensively, finding creative ways to make simple concepts look different by, moving the pieces around and trying to be less predictable with that opponent scout that is just naturally easier when you have bigger rosters.
This Moorhead team has obviously not been 100% without Jet Feeney. Are you preparing for Jet Feeney tomorrow night?
The Dryberg kid that's been playing is pretty tough.
Yes.
He's a big, tall kid who's been pretty accurate. They just scored 5 touchdowns against Eden Prairie last week. So
on the road,
and the skill players are really, really talented. This Moorhead team probably has the best foot speed out of anybody we've seen so far this year. They got some guys who can really run. So, maybe there's some investigative journalism you can do up there in Fargo Moorhead.
Hey, I've been trying, man. I've been trying.
Yeah, we will prepare for whoever the Spuds put out there. So that'll be fun.
By the way, you are a hardened head coach by that answer you just gave me. We will prepare for whoever we have to play. That is a perfect head coach speak answer there. I wanted to have you on as well because I don't know if fans up here fully appreciate what the playoff format is, Jared. Give us what we're going to find out a week from Saturday. The bracket comes out. How does this work for 6A football?
Yeah, so there's 4 pods. Most of those pods are in the metro. Moorhead's the only kind of outstate outlier, but basically there's a West Metro pod, a North and East, and a South Metro pod, and we will seed 1 through 8 in those pods, just like a regular section tournament. But then we won't play within that section. Then we'll take those 4 pods of 8, and we'll put that into an NCAA basketball style 32 team bracket.
Okay.
And if you get the 3 seed in the West, then you're going to play the 6 seed from either the North, the South, or the East. And then the 2-7 matchup will be those other 2 teams. So there's no chance that you will play another team from the regular season in the first 2 rounds.
That's awesome. I love that. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's really cool to see the bracket play out. And, then the high school league has these templates. I think there's 4 bracket templates, and then they rotate them each year. So you start to see kind of different matchups. And it's kind of fun because you get to see some East Metro teams on film or some South Metro teams. And then all of a sudden they're your first round opponent. And so it's kind of a fun way, and it gives that NCAA March Madness type of feel to it.
My last thing on it, so it doesn't necessarily seeded by record, right? Like does the QRF come into this, or how do you get seeded, I guess?
Yeah, you're not seeded 1 through 32. You're seeded 1 through 8 based off of those other teams.
Okay.
So really, those head-to-head matchups really play out a lot. And so, for example, when we play the Spuds, I think there'll have some ramifications between potentially being a 4, 5, or 6 seed when that section tournament comes out, or when the section seedings come out.
Yep.
And that'll be important for us because you're potentially looking at a home playoff game or a 5 versus a 6 seed.
Last thing, this is awesome, man. We got to do this more often because I love talking with you. Who is the toughest guy you had to tackle in your college days? Who is that? Who comes to mind?
Yeah, we, South Dakota State always has some sledgehammer running backs. And they had a guy by the name of Josh Ronick, who at the time was a Division II I think he had the NCC record for most carries or most yards, and he was a sledgehammer. So I tackled him once, and I felt it on Sunday morning. So
it's great to catch up, bud. I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks so much for doing this, and good luck tomorrow night. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.
Good to see you, bud. There he goes, Jared Essler, head football coach at St. Michael-Albertville. His Knights got a big one tomorrow night with the Moorhead Spuds. That'll be part of a huge night of First Down Friday. We'll see if Jet Feeney will play. Jet's been out for the last month plus as we're down to the final 2 games of the regular season. Moorhead has this one, and then they end the regular season at Edina next Wednesday. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for a Dynamite Sports Thursday. Hot Mic wraps after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Informa.com. All right, wrapping things up here on this Thursday morning. Tomorrow, Jake Schauer will join us, Grand Forks Central head football coach, getting ready for their game with Kindred. Nick Hill, SIU football coach, will join us as well, prepping the Salukis for their matchup with the Bison. So an action-packed Friday show on tap for us tomorrow. Looking forward to that. All right, we have the official total of teams that Joe Flacco has played for. I was right. He was a Bronco, 2019. Obviously, the Ravens for 10 years, Denver, the Jets, Philadelphia. I have no recollection of him with the Eagles. The Jets again, Browns, Colts, Browns, Bengals. That guy's still going. I remember watching him play at Delaware. They beat Northern Iowa. Kleiman will give you a whole story about how Joe Flacco drove him crazy when Delaware played Northern Iowa in the playoffs way back when. And he's still going at, how old is he? At 40. Yowza. Good stuff there. One other email before we get to what to watch. Going back to our conversation with Will Steil. That's why I love our viewers. They always pay attention. Dom, how is Will Steil getting 7 games last year and still be a redshirt freshman? Wouldn't he have lost his redshirt if he got more than 4 games? Yes, but he played 3 playoff games. They don't count on your eligibility. So he played the 4, then didn't play again to the postseason. Those don't count towards your eligibility. That's why he kept his redshirt. Therefore, he's a redshirt freshman. That's a great email. Appreciate that, and for watching our program today. Good stuff there. All right, let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. What to watch brought to us by our friends at Northwestern Mutual. We got volleyball tonight. Oral Roberts, North Dakota State, 7 o'clock from the BBF. Bison are unbeaten Keep an eye on that one tonight at 7 here on Extra. Eagles and Giants kicking off Week 6 of the NFL season, 7:15 on Amazon Prime tonight. Giants coming up a loss to the Saints. Eagles lost as well last week to Denver. The Wild season opener against the Blues on the road, 7 o'clock on FanDuel Sports North. And Game 4, Brewers and Cubs, coming up tonight, 8 o'clock on TBS. Our thanks to Jared Essler, to Sam Goetzinger, to Will Steil, and our guy earlier on the show, Hunter Pinke. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. Watch a full replay on WDAY+. Happy birthday to my beautiful wife, Courtney. I hope she has a great day. You guys have a great day as well. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.